Hey everyone, today I've got a pretty easy project and it's a tool brand I've never seen before. Fury or Ram Tools is the manufacturer. It says Ram Tools Corporation and it's a Fury drill. It's pretty cool, certainly a unique design. So let's take a look at it. I got Muggsy here. Right, Muggs? So here it is. It's a small 1/4 inch, I guess. Fury, yep, 1/4 inch drill. Model number F-11. Ram Tools Corporation, Chicago, Illinois. Huh, we got CSA and UL. So I'm guessing 60s, maybe 70s. Small, again, really small handle. It's a little tough to grip it. Should polish up well. Turns freely. Seems to come apart like it comes in half, like clamshell. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. This whole part comes off. So it should be really easy to work on. The trigger is plastic. There is a trigger lock. Does it work? Trigger lock is also plastic and it does work. So yeah, it should be pretty easy to work on this thing. All right, that's our mission. I mean, I'm saying 90 minutes to 2 hours and I should have this thing completely done, provided it works. I mean, I don't know, I haven't tested it yet. So anyway, let's get busy. All right, I think I've got most of what I'm gonna need here. So let's take these screws out. Get my screw tray here. We'll see if these screws are all the same or not. See if we get them all loose first. Boy, it's actually pushing itself apart. So hopefully that doesn't mean something's gonna go flying when I take this thing apart. But it is, it's pushing its casing apart. You can see the casing split. And I have not done that. We all out. Oh, Rusty just came in. So I can expect him probably to jump up here and interfere. It should be here. Loose. Who's holding us in? Maybe. Good. Well, we can keep all these screws right here so we know where they go. Wow. That is really dirty inside. Let's take a close-up. Extremely simple mechanism. This is a simple design. Right, Rusty? Very dirty. This thing clearly saw some use. I don't know if I can salvage that strain relief or not. That'd be nice if I could. This cord, it isn't cut, but it is literally, it's totally hard as a rock. I knew he'd be jumping up here because he can't stay away. Don't step on that. I need to put you back on the floor, Rusty. The grease is pretty chunky, so re-greasing will be useful, but we gotta wash this thing out first. It is really got a lot of even cobwebs, dust inside. But yeah, it's a pretty unique design. Here's your brushes here. They look okay. The grease isn't doing anything anymore. But look at how simple this is. This is not a heavy duty drill. I don't know. But you know, there's really no reason why I would think it doesn't still work. So let me get my tray and let's use some dry lube and clean this thing out. So let me dig this grease out. We'll take the grease out first because it's easier to get it out like that. It almost looks more like dirt than grease. It did its job, probably for 40 or 50 years. I guess if that's just going to lift out, it'll make it a lot easier to clean it. There actually is a lot of grease in here. It's pretty much dried up, but it is grease. All right, I'm gonna clip this cord off. It's just in the way here. Three points. This is really dirty. All right, so I didn't say it yet, but I'm gonna say it now. I'm not using regular WD-40. I'm using dry lube. Do not spray WD-40 into your motor. So this is made by WD-40, but it is not WD-40. All right, let's spray the switch a little bit. Looks to be self-contained. There's really not much I can do with it. All right. There's still a lot of dirt coming out of this. All right, let's look at the wiring. Let me get rid of these. Put this in the hazardous waste bin. All right, let's take a look at the switch. We've got a 3-prong cord. It's just sitting there. Yep, it does. Just sits in place. Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. All right, so I've got a replacement cord here. This is for a computer monitor, I believe, is what this was used on. All right, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take the outer insulation off. To do that, we're just going to use the strippers and just go around really lightly. I don't think I came off enough, but I'm committed now. So do it until you start to see the wires inside. I can just see a little bit, and then let it break apart, because you don't want to cut into the inside insulation. I don't know if I went far enough, but we'll see. My hands are slick. All right, let's cut this fiberglass away. Let me get rid of that and this grease, and I'll be right back. All right, so you'll note this is blue, brown, green, not black, white, green. So green is still the same, but brown is actually the replacement for your hot wire or your black wire, and blue is the replacement for your white wire. Boy, this is very thin wire. I'm not so keen on using this cable. It seemed all right from the outside, but it's pretty thin. All right, let's take care of this. Yeah, there's no way into this switch, so I can't wire directly to it. I'm gonna have to attach to this old wire and attach to this wire. And let's take this ground out. I mean, I cleaned this thing, but it is still incredibly dirty in there. All right. Let me get a terminal ring for a ground wire, and I'm gonna see if, can we save this or is it molded to it? It's molded. All right, let me see if I can find a strain relief. I'll be back. I have no idea where this strain relief came from, but it looks like it will work just fine. Fits well. All right, so I need a terminal ring for green, and I need to figure out what I'm going to do for the hot and the neutral wires. Okay, and this, interestingly enough, bends around the screw and down. So we're just gonna take care of that and set this thing up to do that right from the get-go, which will keep it out of our way. All right, so how do we want to hook up these wires? I guess it all depends on how much room we have. Let's hook up the ground wire and take a look. We may have to trim these other wires up. So I've got to tuck everything in here. Let's see if I can do it with wire nuts. I may be able to. I don't normally use wire nuts for these things, but for some reason, that's just making me think this is the way for this one, because I can just tuck a wire nut in there. And this wire that comes from the brush, I'm gonna make sure that I've got this right. Runs down there. All right, so a little unorthodox from what I normally do. We're going to use wire nuts here, which, you know, it's perfectly safe. These aren't going anywhere, and neither of these things is going to move. Did that white wire run under this switch? It doesn't look like it did. Let's look at the other side of the case. Yeah, it doesn't need to. Make sure we've got enough room. And that should go right there. Strain relief goes there. We do need to put a tie wrap on the end of this to hold the cable from pulling out. So the strain relief won't keep the cable in the drill. We don't have those metal clips that sometimes are on these. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a tie wrap on there and make it really tight. And that will, if you can see that, it will hold the cable. So that when in use, it won't pop through the strain relief. All right, let's put this thing back where pieces go. That goes there. That goes there, and that goes like that. All right, so let's put some grease in here. I'm using Super Lube, which has oddly enough become my de facto after years and years of not using it. But it's very clean grease. And it seems to be highly recommended. Not only for these, but a lot of people will put it in ratchets. I usually don't do that, but I think Snap-on wants you to put this in their ratchets. Now that I think about it, this spins freely. Let's put some grease on this, because it should definitely have some grease on it. And there's a ball bearing in there as well. So let's put an extra amount here. Looks good. That looks very well greased. Okay, let's put everything in place here. Oh, so before I put this thing back together, I'm gonna individually wire brush each one of these screws. I'm gonna keep them in the housing so I can keep track. This is very quick and very easy, but you want to wear goggles and gloves to do it. It just takes the corrosion off of it. And I want to oil the bearing. I did put grease on here, so I really don't need to worry about oiling that too much. Okay, the switch in place. Really good. Somehow it doesn't feel right. There we go. Okay, so the screws are all threaded, but they're not tight yet. Make sure the switch works, make sure this turns. Yep, so we should be good. I don't really like how that strain relief fits at all. It's too loose. I don't like it, even with the drill tight. It's too loose. Yeah, I don't like that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it back apart and rewire it again, because that's not really a good setup that I've got there. So let me go take care of that, and I will be back. All right, so that really only took me 5 minutes because I used wire nuts. So there you have one of the benefits of using wire nuts is it makes rewiring really easier. So I have much better strain relief on here now. That should hold everything in place really well. Let's tuck that wire back where it goes. Black can go right in there. Make sure our switch is placed properly. Hey everyone, just a brief interruption here. If you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support my channel, and especially if you like cats, I've written a series of chapter books for ages 8 and up, fully illustrated, called Flea Biscuit and Friends. The first book in the series is Flea Biscuit Finds a Home, followed by Flea Biscuit Summer Vacation, and finally, Flea Biscuit's Magic Christmas. They're available at all local booksellers as well as on Amazon.com. I will post a link in the video description. And hey, that's my pitch. Back to the video. So when I put it together, this tag here is what gets in the way, holds it open. I gotta kind of bend that out of the way. All right, we're okay to test it. I think it's been long enough for the chemical to fully dry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trigger lock it. And we're gonna use this box. That's on, that's off. I'm gonna see what it does and how it runs. I don't know when the last time this thing ran was. So I'm gonna throw the switch and it should kick on. Seems like it's got friction. Maybe I over tightened it. It's possible. Okay, I readjusted the screws. They're all pretty tight now. Let's try it again. Okay, now we've got it. Now it's stable. It's odd. It seems, you know, maybe it's because I took the gear mechanism out. These old motors, I've said it before about old fans and stuff, so when you restore like an old fan like that, if it's been run a lot, these motors, the washers and everything and the bearings and how everything's sitting, just wants to sit the way it is. And when you take them apart, they get very finicky sometimes. So hey, we're ready to go. Let's polish this guy up. All right, for the first level of polishing, I'm going to use a wire brush and WD-40. So I'm gonna wear goggles and I'm gonna wear gloves. And this is regular WD-40. It's fine for this. So you see how this is a pretty dull finish. Let's do right here first. I've got the badge taped up, by the way, so we won't have any problems there. But this should take a lot out. All right, let me get a paper towel. This will take a lot of the heavy oxidation and unevenness out of the finish. See? It's already getting brighter. So let's do the rest of the drill and then we can take it over to the polisher. All right, I'm gonna continue and I'll be back. All right, I hit it with the wire brush and took most of it out, but it clearly needs polish. And I did use the wire brush actually on the chuck because it wasn't that rusty, and you can now read it clearly. Multi-chuck or multi-craft, Jacobs, yeah, Jacobs multi-craft chuck. So let's take it over to the polisher. I'm going to keep my goggles on and we'll see how this goes. I'm going to use the red, which is pretty heavy. Oh, look at how nice that looks. Alright, so that's with just the wire brush. It's quite gray. That's polished. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to do the rest of this drill and I'll be back. Okay, the machine polisher is done. But you've probably heard me say this before. Never underestimate the power of hand polishing. So I'm going to use this chemical, guys. Heavy metal polish. I don't have any, I pretty much am out of the bright metal polish that I usually use, but this will be fine. See how much black it gets off real quick. One of the things I always say too is you can take this as far as you want to go with something like this. This is the type of drill that will polish up like chrome if you keep going. I don't usually go that far. I can't say I've never gone that far. I did a couple times, but I don't usually go that far because the difference is another 2 hours of doing what I'm doing right now. So I don't have the patience for that. I think I've got it all. This isn't car wax. You don't have to let it dry. In fact, you don't want to let it dry. Spot there. Needs some extra attention, it looks like. All right, now let's find a clean spot on this and get the polish off. You can even add a coat of car wax on this after, if you want, which adds a little more gloss to it. See that? How shiny that's coming out? A key step after you polish it, you have to get all that polish off. And that mechanical polisher tends to burn the polish in. So hand polishing and then giving it a good rub down makes all the difference. All right, let's take this off. It's too bad. The tag really isn't in very good shape at all. But you can read it, which is better than a lot of them. All right, look at that shine. All right, I'm gonna clean up a little bit. Now we'll do a final look. I gotta find a chuck key for it, and I'll be back. All right, I found the perfect size key for the chuck. I've got a key holder on it, and I figured before we pack it away and wrap this up, let's look at it. Wow, it's still got a little polish on it, but oops, I put the power on. And let's fire it up. All right, so that is a Fury model F-11 from Ram Tool Company. Final thoughts on this guy. Well, it's okay. It's not a high quality drill. It's not heavy duty by any means. It's similar to this old, I think that's a Stanley that I did, similar in size, but the build quality of the Stanley was better than this. So yeah, what are you gonna do? Ram Tool Company, I don't know what the price point of this was. I know nothing about the manufacturer of this. They did use a Jacobs chuck, and it did last probably 50 to 60 years. It was clearly used a lot. And it wasn't just used for drilling holes in baseboards or something. This thing was used for drilling steel. There was a lot of metal dust inside it, which is never good for a tool. But, you know, it cleaned up really nice, and it's small, you know, single speed, as I said, in one direction. I don't think it'll see a lot of use in the future, but hey, it could. It's ready to get back to work now. All right, that's it. So this was a neat little project. It reminded me of something that I've always said about taking apart antique electric motors, especially like old fans from the early teens and 20s, and even some of the Art Deco ones that were used a lot. And this was used a lot. The amount of metal debris that was inside this drill showed that it wasn't just drilling in sheetrock its whole life. It was drilling some metal, and a lot of it. So my point is, sometimes when you take these things apart to clean them or rewire them, and you move the motor components around like I did here, and you've seen in other videos where I literally am so careful not to do that. And that's because things wear out in a certain way, and it may run perfect as it is because everything's kind of worn that way. Once you take it apart and really pull the motor apart like I did here, and you put it back together, things may be just slightly out of balance. And so this was a good example of that. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 screws that hold this together. When I first put it together, it was just out of balance a little bit. And you know how I put the screws in, and I put them in, then I snug them, and then I go a little tighter and a little tighter. And usually I go opposites, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, like that. And this time, the first time I put it together, it just didn't sit right. And it ran and it slowed down. So I took all the screws out, I resettled it back together, and put them in much more carefully, much more slowly, and lo and behold, it runs fine, it's ready to get back to work. So if you did enjoy this content, or if you've liked some other content on my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel grow. And if you have already subscribed, I thank you. We are about almost at 25,000 subscribers. This video probably won't go up for another month or so, so we may be at 26 maybe by then. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who has subscribed. If you haven't, please do. And you know, if you want to restore a drill like this, it's not that hard. You saw what I needed to do. I needed a power cord, I needed some grease, some oil, in this case, a couple of wire nuts, and you can do it. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that long. And you know, you polish these things up and they're pretty cool. I mean, this is pretty neat looking. So you can do it. All you need to do is go out, get busy. Take care.